Yo and hello, welcome to the League of Fantasy Legends podcast. I am Pistons Wish. I am here to bring you picks and bans, predictions for week 1 of your leagues. We've got a lot going on. It's obviously the first week, and so we're going to go through these. What we've done in years past, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys just so you can see. In years past, I've had all the drafts written out. We're able to really analyze. So this is by team. You can see which teams are prioritizing which champions. So I've got all the Team Liquid drafts right here, all the 100 Thieves, so on and so forth. So that'll help us once we get into the season to really, understand, I guess, what teams are prioritizing what. And so we'll get there. But obviously week 1 is going to be a lot different as there's nothing to go off of. There are no, there are no picks that we've seen so far. So we're going to go ahead and have to just see what other leagues are doing and go from there. And so I'm going to go ahead and start first just looking at, this is over all the top leagues. So you can see here LEC, LCK, LCS, LMS, LPL. So all the main leagues, and just seeing what are people picking? What are people playing? What are people banning? That's really going to start us off. I guess I should have started if you're pretty new to sleeper leagues. Picks and bans, they're really the way for you to interact with your league. Really important to hit those because the standard scoring is 1.5 times points if you hit the pick, and then half points for your opponent if you hit the ban on their player. And so, that's the difference between a win and a loss straight up. And so with that in mind, these are going to be super important. We're going to put a lot of work into trying to make sure we get these right. So looking at, what's the most popular champions just across all leagues, only one champion, 100% presence over all leagues. It's Rise. One of the weird things about picks and bans is that, you don't always want to pick the best, because what you'll see is if champions are too good, then they just get banned. You're not going to get it right. And so you're not going to always go with just what is the most presence champion. My computer's kind of freezing up here. Holy cow. You're saying sort by picks. Exactly. So if you sort it by presence, you'll end up with too many bans in there. So if we sort it by picks, that'll give us a little bit of a different look. Rise drops way down because obviously it's been banned a ton. Thanks for chiming in, Jampire. Good to see you here. And so, yeah, we see Zeri, Cassante, Lucian, Nami. Really, if you've been watching any of the leagues, I watched a lot of LEC this past weekend. Don't really get to watch too much LPL or LCK, but we'll see that. Yeah, it's Zeri and Zeri Yumi or Zeri Lulu, along with Lucian, Nami almost every game. Seeing a ton of Cassante, and then the things that are Cassante, so that's like the Jax, the Fiora, whatnot. Seen a lot of Maokai. Yeah, really a lot of that stuff. And so we're going to go ahead and get right into it. I'm going to start just going kind of role by role. We're going to pick out which champions are the most often played in each role, and then kind of go down the list and see if we can't make good predictions. So I'm going to see if we can't split this up here. Holy cow, computer, don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Okay. Here we go. If we can get this in half, get this in half. Boom. All right, so starting in the top lane, I've got these ranked for what my rankings are this week. So you've got some days the top ranked top laner Licorice at the bottom, and so right here at the top, I'm just going to put in what's meta. What are we seeing? If we're not seeing a lot of the pick, then it's not really even going to be a choice. And so Cassante is a big choice, and then Fiora and Jax, especially as the counters to those two. We see Renekton all the time. A little bit of Jace, and then Nars, probably about as far as down as we're going to go. A champion that's only 35% presence. That's probably, we're not going to want to go any lower than that, especially when we're kind of going in blind. You certainly could try to look at what teams are playing in solo queue. Back when they had Champions queue, that was also really good. Obviously, they still have Champions queue, but nobody's playing it. But yeah, you can go in to see what people are playing in solo queue, but it doesn't always match up. And for the most part, they're going to be playing all of these champions. And so as we go kind of down, I wonder if Cassante is going to get through. I feel like Cassante is going to get banned. Yeah, I don't think we'll see a lot of Jace either. Jace, obviously, we see a lot of it. And if you look at it, 40% presence, but realistically, only 3 picks. I could maybe see Summit playing it, but other than that, yeah, I totally agree. Cassante, Fiora, Jax, Renekton, probably, and Gnar, probably the main ones. I'm going to go ahead and delete Jace because you're totally right there. And so what are we going to see? I think Cassante is a good kind of blanket pick. I think that Cassante, obviously, so tanky, but also able to do so much damage after he procs that ult. And so I think Cassante is going to kind of be my default, and then we'll kind of go off of that. I don't think there's anything wrong, especially in week 1, with just picking a champion you think we'll see a lot and just going down the list. I'm going to try to be a little bit more precise than that, but obviously sometimes when you try to be extra precise, you'll just end up missing a bunch of stuff. So someday, Summit, Fudge, I think we'll see Cassante for a lot of them. I'm going to put Cassante in for someday. Summit, we've seen, obviously, the Jace and the Gnar were what we saw Summit really destroy people on. If we're going to see a Jace in NA, it's going to be from Summit, I believe. That being said, I just feel like, especially when we look at last spring, Summit, literally, it was like if you gave him Gnar, you kind of just lose. And the thing that they really adjusted was to ban Gnar. I don't think Gnar is ban worthy in this meta. I think that people are going to let it go through. I'm going to put Gnar for Summit. Look at Fudge. When I see Fudge, I think Fiora obviously is going to be able to play all of these champions. I'm going to go Fiora for Fudge. I just kind of have a feeling that he's going to want to redeem some of the world's performances that he had in Fiora. Obviously, they weren't that good. And so I'm going Fiora for him. Solo, he's been really solid. I feel like he's been more on tanks. I feel like we could see him on a tank, but it's just not the meta right now. I want to put him on Cassante because that's the closest thing to a tank we've got. Tenacity, I wish I knew more about. Haven't watched a lot of Academy. And so when in doubt, I'm going Cassante pretty much across the board. Impact, I've seen some talk of a Shen counterpick to Cassante. I don't see it. That'd be kind of crazy. Going Cassante. Another thing to keep in mind too when thinking about playing it safe for all these picks is that obviously there's 2 games, so you got 2 chances. And so if you play it safe, doesn't work out the first time, it'll work out the second time. Dokla, obviously a carry player. I'm going to put Dokla on Jax. I kind of feel like he's going to want to take on kind of a more of a carry split push role, putting Dokla on Jax. Armut, I feel like this one kind of writes itself. It's literally in his name. He's an Armut. And then Revenge and Licorice. Licorice, I made a killing off last year putting him on Gnar every time. I don't want to put everyone on Gnar, but it just seems like that's such a fallback pick for North America in general. I'm going to go Cassante for Revenge as well. This is what I got for the top lane. As we go through week by week, we'll kind of review. What I'd like to do is kind of review how I'm doing and compare it to, if you just picked like the most commonly played champion, or if you picked, I don't know, if you just picked exactly what Sleeper recommended you every time. So we'll see how that goes. This is one of my picks for the top lane. Lots of Cassante, and then coming off of Cassante for just a couple people. Moving into the jungle, we'll go ahead and get this rolling here. See if we can't pull up the jungle picks. This is jungle for just LEC. See a lot of Maokai bans in the LEC. And a lot of Vi. Vi, obviously the counter pick to Zeri that we see all the time. Here it is across the leagues, and so we'll resort that by picks. Seen a lot of Vi, Wukong, Sejuani, Maokai, so a lot of tanks. And it really drops off after that. We might see a little bit of Viego, maybe a Poppy, Kindred in the right hands, Pyosik. But yeah, so what are we picking from here? We got Vi, we got Wukong, we got Sejuani, we got Maokai. And outside of that, it's just going to be niche picks. And so it's kind of tough here because, I mean, I guess the main thing you're going to be thinking is your player going to be more likely to go the tank route with Maokai Sejuani and really just set up for team fights, or is it going to be more of Vi Wukong where they really got a go button where they can go and engage, but still do a lot of damage and maybe carry a little bit more. And so as I'm looking through these, it's hard sometimes because you think of these iconic moments for some of these players. Inspired, I think of that triple kill he had on Vi that was just insane. I feel like, how can you not pick Vi when he's both the most picked and he's got that awesome track record on it? Look at Closer. I don't see Closer as a Sejuani Maokai kind of guy. He could be between Vi and Wukong. I'm going to go Wukong here. Again, we can always see North America kind of pull out its own meta. They tend to do that sometimes where they just feel like different picks are better for whatever reason. Blabber, man, we've only seen a couple Kindred games as we see here, only 3 across the major regions. But between Blabber and Piosik, I could definitely see either of them picking Kindred. Obviously, Kindred is kind of Piosik's pocket pick. Pulled it out at Worlds a bunch. And it really wasn't meta at Worlds either, but really just something he's really comfortable with. I think we might even see it banned against him a couple times. Blabber, again, so many things he can play. I want to put him on the Vi. Just feels like a fighting champion is going to be his thing. Piosik, I'm putting him on Kindred. I think it might get banned from him a couple times, but I am going to put him on the Kindred. It's just too iconic for him. I just feel like it's what he's going to do. Kind of going down the list, we got Spica, Boogie. Actually, my bad. We've decided we're calling him Bug-Eye. So we got Spica, Bug-Eye, Santorin, Contracts, Kenvi, and River. Spica, I could really see him with the team he's on. I feel like he's going to take on more of a facilitating role. And again, I think when you've got Prince as your bot laner, you can really depend on more of that late game scaling. And when I think late game scaling, I think Maokai. So I'm going to do that for Spica. I'm going to do it for Bug-Eye as well. I just wrote his name in there. Silly. That brings us down to kind of the bottom ones here. Santorin, Contracts, these two ranked a little lower this week, just tough matchups really. But as we look at Santorin's really, I see him as like a vision control guy, a guy who's really going to, again, facilitate for his team. He's got some talent with him in the top side. So I'm going to go Sejuani here. I think it really fits his play style. He's so solid. He knows where to be and when to be there. And so I like Sejuani for Santorin. Look at Contracts. Contracts has been all over the place. He'll play anything. But I do picture him on more of a fighter. So I'm going to go Wukong for Contracts. Kenvi, same way. Again, as we get to the bottom, hopefully you're not having to play these guys. You're not having to make these decisions. I'm going to go Vi for Kenvi. I'm going to go Wukong for River. Those are champions. Again, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I feel like River played a lot of Wukong. Really, outside of Jarvan, that's kind of where I have him rated here. So really, between these 4 choices are the main ones. When you look at across the leagues, Vi, Wukong, Sejuani, Maokai, all pretty even as far as the presence. If we get rid of a lot of these other leagues, I'm going to go ahead and do that and see if we can't see what's happening not just in LEC. I feel like maybe a little bit of a better comparison for us. And it's, a lot of Sejuani. And then Vi, Maokai, Wukong, V8. Okay, and 3 Kindred picks. So yeah, you know what? We might see some more Kindred. Be interested to see where this really lands. Obviously, first week, you're kind of just throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. Moving on to the mid lane here. Oh, I do not have it up. Oh, I thought I had it up. Let's get that back. All right, in the mid lane, in all the leagues, what we know is we're seeing, like we saw at the beginning, a crap ton of Rise, tons of Rise, 100% presence. And I'll tell you what, when I look at a lot of these champions, it's what North American mid laners like to see. And so here we go. We got Syndra, Rise, Azir, Akali, Sylas. And so, I mean, if you look at that realistically, these 4 was just the meta at Worlds. And then we had the Syndra changes. And so it's almost like not a lot has changed. I wonder if things will change more as we get closer or as we get into the league. Some of these I think are tough because, you think of Bjergsen, I think of just a few champions that were really Bjergsen champions. Obviously, there's the Zillion. He's not going to pick Zillion. But Syndra's really the second one I think of. And I think of Rise too, but Syndra is just such a Bjergsen champion. I think that's a slam dunk. Jojo Pyun, I think that they're going to prioritize a Rise. Jojo Pyun does such a good job of trying to affect side lanes. It's just really been his role, especially when he moved into the summer split. So I've got Jojo Pyun playing Rise. I think they'll be willing to first pick it. The question will be, will it get through to him? Will it get banned? Excuse me. It certainly could. He certainly could get it banned first rotation both games. But I think they're going to prioritize it enough that we could see him on it. Again, Diplex, I don't know enough about him as a player. Wish I could say more. I do know that C9 is going to play through Berserker. Or at least if they're smart at all, they will play through Berserker. And that involves getting priority and roaming to side lanes. So I'm going to put Rise for Diplex as well. Vikla, again, I didn't watch enough LCK to really know. But from what I did see on LCK is that you give these guys a Kali or Silas and they're going to go wild. I'm going to go ahead and pick... You know what? Let me see what's... It's got to be between a Kali and Silas. I'm going to pick a Kali for Vikla. It just feels like the type of champion that they're going to want him to play, really, to have him kind of pop off. Like, you know, there's been so much hype on Vikla as we get towards the start of the LCS season, and we'll see what he can do. Maple, we've seen Maple on, again, when we think of last year's meta, a lot of Azir, a lot of Silas. I could see. It's interesting to see what TSM will do. Again, they've got a lot of players that I haven't seen before. We've seen plenty of solo, but I haven't seen Bug-Eye. I'm saying it like that on purpose. Haven't seen Maple. Well, I guess we saw Maple from a good chunk of last split. And Neo, I guess we saw last split on Dignitas. Chime as well coming up towards the end of the split. Oh, let's see. I think it's... I'm not sure what we'll see Maple on. I'm going to put Syndra because he's been the highest pick. It's just always been, like, when Syndra's good, it's just always been such a staple, you know, for years and years. Harry coming up from Academy. Again, I'm putting him on Syndra. I think that'll be a staple. Jensen. We've seen Jensen on everything. I don't think Dignitas is going to play through the bot lane as much as some other teams will. I think they might prioritize getting Jensen ahead, having him playing. We see him on a lot of control mages. I think we'll see him on Azir. We could see him on some other stuff too. Oh, you know what? I forgot to put Kassadin in these picks. I'm not going to pick him for anybody, but I hope we see him. I love when we get, you know, picks in here that we haven't seen. You know, Kassadin hasn't been picked regularly in pro play for as long as I've been watching pro play. Obviously, like back in the day when he was super broken. Kassadin's kind of a weird hit level 16, instantly win the game. So maybe we'll see that from some teams that want to sit back and wait for late game. You know, we've seen a couple teams that just really go straight late game. That being said, you better pick early game somewhere or you'll just get run over because Kassadin pre-6 is not a champion. Palafox, we could see him on a couple things. I'm going to put him on Syndra. Ablaze, Syndra. I think we could see Azir for Ablaze Olive. But I think Syndra is the pick there. And then Gory, again, I don't know too much about Gory. We'll see how kind of the meta shapes out here in the mid lane, how Gory shapes out here in the mid lane, see what types of champions he wants to pick. I'm going to go Rise. I think that, you know, Rise is going to be a high priority. You could just as easily go Syndra or Azir here. I think all of them would be good picks. Go to the bot lane. We're here in the bot lane. Again, I've got the players here ranked listed in order of how I have them ranked in this split. So we order this by picks here. Zeri, Lucian, Varus. You kind of only have 3 picks. You could go a little more niche if you wanted to, but it really feels like, honestly, it's Zeri, Lucian, and then if Lucian is banned, then it's Varus. That's really what it feels like. Lucian and Nami's so strong, and golly, it's going to be hard to pick because I feel like these are just a toss-up. I feel like they'll be willing to trade them in that first rotation. Pretty much over and over, that's what we're going to see in the draft. That's what we've seen all over the world. FBI, I'm putting Lucian. Feels like he's on Lucian. You know what? I'm even going to do these two together because there are some metas where, it's not always the same duo, right? You don't always see Lucian Nami or Sivir Yuumi or Zeri Yuumi. But in this meta, that's what it is. And so if you're picking Lucian for FBI, you got to pick Nami for Vulcan. And these picks pop off too so much. Even after they change that interaction with Nami Lucian, still Lucian can get some 10 kill games if you're fortunate. So I think that's a good one. Berserker, we've seen him on Zeri over and over and over. We could even see him on Sivir. Sivir, obviously the next one down. Not enough picks, 12 picks over all the leagues. I don't think you can really pick Sivir, but certainly we could see Berserker on it. That's what they kind of ran over playoffs with. So I feel like, they won playoffs with these picks. Why would they change? Doublelift, man, what the heck is that Doublelift going to play? We haven't seen him on the pro stage in 2 years. Obviously, when you go back, his original was Lucian. That's kind of his original pocket pick. Pretty sure there's a video somewhere that talks about Doublelift's pocket Lucian. It's not really a pocket pick right now. It's just a power pick. But I think we'll see him try to prioritize some comfort as he gets back into his first weekend back in the LCS in 2 years. And so I think Doublelift will end up on Lucian, which obviously puts Busio on Nami. Sven, you know what? It could be Yuumi, but sorry, not Yami. That is wrong. Lulu. It could be Yuumi, but I think Yuumi probably gets banned. I think Yuumi will have 100% banned this week in the LCS. No one wants to let that through. No one wants to see that. So I'll just go up here and do the sports as well. Let's go ahead and just click it and see. But we know it's going to be Nami, Yuumi, Lulu. Oh, and a Heimerdinger. I forgot about the Heimerdinger. I freaking hate Heimerdinger. Anyways, you got Nami, Yuumi, Lulu. So that'll be for people that want to carry hard through bot lane. Some people are going to want to just get priority in the bot lane. That's going to be the Heimerdinger. That's going to be the Karma, the Ashe. Lux, obviously, will go with Caitlyn if we'll see it. Looking at Prince here. Prince and Ayla. We saw Ayla on Team Liquid. Oh, you're right. Ayla's not in. You're absolutely right. It's going to be Winsome. Thank you. That being said, I'm not sure how much that really affects, who they're doing for picks and bans. Thank you for pointing that out, though. Appreciate it. Prince, they're going to put him on a hyper carry. You got to think. Then again, Lucian Nami's so strong. I'm going to go Lucian. I'll go Lucian Nami for Prince and Winsome. Really, I think you could just go Lucian Nami all the way down the board. You're going to be right more often than not. But that's not fun. What fun is that? So Neo, we've seen Neo on all kinds of different things. Again, when in doubt, I'm going to go Lucian here. Jan, I'm going to pick Lucian. We see Luger. CLG wants to play through him. We saw him get a pentakill on Zeri last year. I think he'll be on the Zeri. Spawn, I'm going to put on the Zeri. Tactical, gosh. We saw some good tactical games back in the Jinx meta back in the spring. That's when he was really good. But again, so tough week one. There's not a lot to go off of as far as analysis. As we get into later weeks, there will be better analysis. I promise you that. But for now, we're just going Lucian or Zeri with everyone. I don't think you can go wrong. And then as we go back, we're just going to match up, right? So we put Lucian, or we put Yana and Lucian, put Korra and Nami. Although, is Korra going to play Nami? Korra's not going to play Nami. Let me fix this up here. I think we'll see Jan playing more of a Varus. I think we might see Korra and a Heimerdinger. I just have a feeling he's going to want to pull out something annoying. He's not going to play Nami where he just sits back and pushes E. Chime here, Lucian, Nami, Zeri, Lulu, Zeri, Lulu, Lucian, Nami, Lucian, Nami. All right, so here's what we got for week 1 picks and bans. We'll see how they turn out. Week 1, always kind of a crapshoot. The truth is that when you look at these champions that are really being picked all over the place, it's hard to know what teams are going to prioritize without seeing what they've done in weeks past. And so going Lucian Zeri, you really can't go wrong. Nami Lulu, can't go wrong. Syndra, Rise, we're seeing everywhere. I see a lot of other niche picks that you could hit. These 4 we're seeing everywhere. Hope to see some Kindred. We saw some in the LEC. I want to see a lot of Kindred. And I think that's just more of a fun play style. And I think we'll see that from some of our junglers that like to carry through themselves a little bit more. That's Blabber, that's Piosic. And then top lane, it's Cassante and what can beat Cassante, really. And so I think if you wanted to, you could just go across the board with the top picks. But I like to be a little more precise, especially once we're able to analyze those drafts a little bit. Well, thanks for tuning in, seeing these picks and bans. I'll go ahead and throw some of these in here. Obviously, you just kind of have to take, if you go off of the the recommended, do not do that for week 1. You'll see they'll be pretty accurate once you get into it, but we're not seeing any Ornn. We're not seeing much Aatrox, no Set, no Kennen. You will not see these, so do not go off of the recommended picks to start. Well, that is right about all I had. As this, again, I've said it 100 times, but as we get further into the split, we'll be able to see a little bit more who teams are playing. We'll be able to go through the draft sheet. Again, I've got all the picks, all the bans. This is for all of the summer split last year. You can see every game in here. I've got those written out. Oh, man, I'm just looking back at these, seeing some of our fun drafts. We had some Yasuo Gragas, seeing Viego. There's some fun stuff last split. But that being said, we'll be able to kind of go through these and see, maybe some teams want to first pick Lucian every time. Maybe some teams are banning Lucian every time. They just don't want to see it. So we'll be able to get into those eventually. Week 1, not quite able to. I'm going to post these in the Discord. If you're not on the Discord, you should be there. It will be in the description either here on Twitch or on YouTube, wherever you are watching it. Check these out. Hold me accountable, see how I'm doing. And we'll keep track of that and see if it's even worth doing these or if it's just random. I swear I do better than random. I swear to you. But again, thank you so much for tuning in. We are getting into the Fantasy LCS season. This will be the last time you see me before the games start on Thursday. I am so pumped for that. You'll be follow on Twitter. You'll be hearing all the thoughts. I'm sure there'll be tons of discussion in the Discord. So make sure you're in there. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Pistons Wish signing off. Peace out.